Okay, Graham, thank you for the moment. We're going to come back, take a little break. If you'd like to talk to Graham Hancock, who's my guest and the author of a new book called The Mars Mystery, A Tale of the End of Two Worlds. Okay, welcome back. You join me with Graham Hancock, and we're talking about whether or not NASA is playing a sort of political game. They want to keep their funding going. And Graham says, obviously quite rightly, that they would get lots of public funding, I'm sure, if they said we're going after to prove there was intelligent life on Mars at one time. But why is it then that they don't? Why are they?
It's something that I've racked my brains over for a long time and have addressed in the book. Is this very question? Because there's no doubt that there is great public interest in the possibility of extraterrestrial life, and particularly if there might be evidence of it on a neighboring planet. There's a lingering tendency amongst scientists, and actually Eric von Daniken, who you mentioned earlier, is in large part responsible for this, that anybody who talks seriously about the possibility of extraterrestrial life close to the Earth is going to be branded as a lunatic. And a lot of scientists are deeply reluctant to get into this area because they're afraid for their own careers and their own reputations, so they don't want to do it. And I think that in NASA there has been a substantial mindset in place that there couldn't be, there just couldn't have been an intelligent civilization on Mars, and therefore these objects that have been photographed on Mars must be natural. But I sometimes wonder, looking at the way that this story has been handled by NASA over the years, whether there isn't some other kind of agenda operating behind the scenes. I've tried very hard not to be paranoid in this book, and not to succumb to the natural tendency to assume that any big bureaucracy is involved in dark conspiracies. But there are some very odd things about the way NASA has behaved. I mean, the way that it welcomed the issue of microbes on Mars, and it did really play that for every penny it was worth to attract more funding for its work on Mars. And yet, having gone that far, I mean, it says, yes, we believe that there was microbial life on Mars 3 billion years ago. And they keep emphasizing, but only very primitive life. Well, quite frankly, as far as we know, there was only very primitive life on the Earth 3 billion years ago as well. And it seems to me that evidence for primitive life on Mars 3 billion years ago constitutes a prima facie case for evolution leading to much more advanced life on Mars at a later date. So I think there's been a lot of contradictions in NASA's position on this. There's no doubt that NASA have lied, directly lied, over the status of the face on Mars, saying that it had been disproved to be a face by a disconfirming photograph a few hours later when this was not true. This is on the record, it's a fact.
Did they ever answer the criticism of why they lied?
No, they've never explained why they've lied. And when I look at their behavior over the last 20-plus years on this issue, it seems to have been a kind of double strategy of releasing some tantalizing information on the one hand and then attempting to downplay it on the other. So like they have their cake and eat it as well at the same time.